Hi, it's Jane. Continuing to work on the blanket because I'm now dropping it, losing all that work that I already did. Anyway, I'm doing the iris blanket. This is done by Daisy Cottage, and it's a nice pattern that she has written out and shared with all of us. It's a free pattern on her website, thedaisycottage.net, I think. That's what it is. I'll try to remember to put a link down below. I don't always remember, folks, to be honest. But I'll try. I ran the cats through the house with the laser pointer and got a little bit of a workout. Got Miss Izzy to where she was panting a bit, which is good for her because she's like her mama. She's fluffy. We both share being fluffy. But I kind of laugh because this time of year, the season, although I like it because the temperature is cooler, I can get outside and do more things outside than I normally do because it's not hot. It's not crazy hot. However, the one thing that I find interesting is the amount of spiders. Spiders, for some reason, start flocking into the house, and I see more and more of them. I have not figured out where they're coming in from. So once again, it's time to get the pest guy to come out and spray and hopefully kill them and their babies. I know that's not going to happen, but somehow they all seem to manage to survive, so anyway, there's hoping, right? Boy, I gotta tell you, I find it amazing how many people just do not understand British protocol. There are quite a few, I've seen liberals posting about Trump is disrespecting the King of England by walking ahead of him while reviewing the troops there at Windsor Palace. So tell us you don't know anything about protocol, about etiquette, without telling us. Whenever a dignitary comes to England and is presented with the king, they are often asked to review the troops. And the way that is done is the king steps back and allows the dignitary to walk through the troops and inspect them. It is etiquette. It is protocol for that to happen. The Queen Elizabeth did this with dignitaries. King Charles does this with dignitaries that come into England. Now, granted, most of those ceremonies are done in public and not done at Windsor Castle, although Queen Elizabeth did break protocol with doing it out in public and did do it at the castle. So this is just something that is an interesting thing. Now, I do know that England is thrilled with their tariffs because their tariffs with the U.S. are 10%, and that is lower than it has been in the past. And so, there's that. but I do find it interesting how many people show that they don't understand the etiquette there with England and the way that they treat dignitaries that come. All right, I'm going to pause you for a minute because I need to answer this. Okay, sorry about that. Friend needing help with an appointment next week, so that and having to answer a question. We are playing a game at Awana, and 3 funny facts about us. I don't know if the ones I shared are funny or not, but whatever. They are what they are. Right? Of course, my facts are, the ones I've chosen are, I'm owned by 2 cats. I learned to knit by using my belly button as a holder for one of my needles. And the other one is, I can only dog paddle, I can't swim. And the kids have to guess which one of us it is. So that should be interesting. Right? It'll be a lot of fun. And I tease because I think our leader is one of her funny facts should be she's a snake charmer this year. Oh. Anyway, talking about those spiders and things. Creepy crawlers this time of year just give me the heebie-jeebies sometimes. Especially when I'm sitting here and I see the cats all of a sudden perk up and take off running. And it's like, oh, what have we got now? And usually it's a spider. This time of year it's a spider. Why a spider? Well, I guess it could be worse. It could be a praying mantis. I am terrified of praying mantises. So it could be worse. Anyway. That's kind of what happens sometimes, right? Bugs. Ugh. I do think it's funny some of the things that we've seen come out the past couple of days. I don't know if you've been watching any of the testimony about the chat bots for GPT and children. There have been quite a few family members who've been up in Congress testifying some of the horrors that they have found with their children who have committed suicide on the advice of these chatbots. This is why I think it's important for family, parents, grandparents to monitor their children, their grandchildren, when they're using ChatGPT. Now, initially, supposedly, according to ChatGPT and its founder, ChatGPT bots are able to recognize if it is a child under the age of 15. How the heck they know that, I don't know. I don't believe that. But I do think if anyone, no matter the age, asks this bot how to kill themselves or how to kill someone else and get away with it, It automatically should shut down that conversation, should send an alert to the local police department in that area to do a wellness check and to talk with that person, and also flag it to the parents. It's scary what this chatbot was capable of doing. And the testimony is terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Some of the things ChatGPT has done with the conversations that they've had. So, like I said, we have to be really aware of things that are going on around us, especially with our children, to keep them safe. And like I said, this whole idea with ChatGPT is just crazy, with the bots that are allowed loose. And I don't care if it's with Meta, ChatGPT, Imagine.io, any of these AI programs. There should be a way that they are not allowed to get into it. There should be parental locks available for those things. So if parents do not want their child to access that they cannot access it. Now, originally, the person that developed this part of the chatbot, it was supposed to help these children with homework. Well, that ain't any homework that I've ever seen. And if it is, who's given that homework? Honestly, who is given that homework? You know, too many times, and I'm going to get this here. As an adult, if I go to, and I'm going to give you an example. If I go to Coinbase to purchase Bitcoin or any one of the crypto, I have to submit my telephone number, my address. I also have to verify my identity. I have to upload biometrics on those. I have to upload my driver's license, front and back, all kinds of things that normally I would not want to do in a lot of cases. I think to use those services, that might be something that's needed. I don't know. You know, things are getting dangerous out there. And I do have a friend who tells me she doesn't mess with the AI because she believes it is demonic. Well, after listening to that testimony, I'm beginning to believe it is. And we've seen over this past week that a lot of people who have been celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk are now upset because they've lost their jobs, because some of the celebrations, messages, things that they put out on social media, videos, celebrating, have gotten to their bosses, their employers, and that they were fired. Or in the case of some of these students that have acted out obnoxiously at some of these vigils or memorials set up, and they've found that they are now expelled, and they've lost their grants, all kinds of things, access to those things, people losing their jobs because of the behavior. And they're like, but it's just our freedom of speech. You're right, it is. But you're not free from the consequences of that speech. And here's the consequence. When you put that out there for the public to see, it tells me that you're not safe to be around. Quite frankly, that's what it tells me. If you are celebrating the death of someone like that, you are not a safe person to be around at all. If you are in the school system, you are teaching our children and you celebrated that, not only that, but you celebrated it in the classroom in front of our children, you are not safe. You are not someone that I want my children to be taught by. So, yes, you have freedom of speech. There are consequences, though, to your behavior. We've also seen where there have been a lot of certain people on influencers, YouTube, different social media platforms that are now being banned. We've seen Destiny be banned. If you don't know him, he's rather obnoxious. And he basically said that all the Charlie Kirks, all Charlie Kirks, anyone who follows him needs to be killed. Those that are like-minded need to be done away with. So he has now been banned from Twitch because of that term. There's something you sign when you go on and you start these. It's called Terms of Service and Community Guidelines. He broke that with Twitch. I would imagine if he has put those videos up on his YouTube channel, he may also find a strike, if not being removed from that platform as well. It doesn't matter which social media you go to. There are terms of service and community guidelines that you accept when you use those services. So, I don't know. Seeing a lot of folks crying about their behavior and getting into trouble, losing their job, or in the case of a couple of those folks who what they did while they were there constituted being arrested for their behavior. It's kind of like the fellow that at the assassination, Mr. Zinn, George Zinn, that basically told police that he was the one who shot Charlie. And he basically testified it was, testimony. Basically informed them that he had done that to allow the shooter to escape. Now, they have determined that he was not in on it, had no previous knowledge. But this guy has a bad record that follows him. He did get charges of obstruction, I think, placed on him. He also got, for his child pornography, that kind of stuff, he also got some charges of that, which he has had several times before. But he is also one of those that, after the Boston Marathon bombing, he had written some ugly letters to, I think, one of the Boston papers, and had some charges there around that, some of the things that he had stated. So yeah, he has a lengthy criminal record, this fellow. Older fellow. And you may have seen the video where he's being dragged off. He's handcuffed. He's being dragged off and his pants are falling down. And he's screaming, "Help me, help me." So, yeah. Sometimes you can't fix stupid, right? And I do think it's interesting that the CEOs of, I think it's Twitch, Reddit, Steam. What were some of the other ones? I can't remember who it was, but Twitch, Steam, I don't know if YouTube was in there, Reddit, Discord. They are being called to testify to congressional Senate about the radicalization that they allow on their servers. I think that's scheduled for October the 8th. And they probably should be, because those are some deep, dark places. Can be. And they should be held accountable for if they are allowing that to happen. They should be fully aware of what's on their platform and should do whatever they can to stop it. So I don't know. What do you think about those kind of things? Think they should be stopped? Or were you aware of the whole thing with ChatGPT? Were you aware of what some of these people have been saying? And my son used to always give me grief because he would tell me, "Mom, you go down some of the deepest, darkest things." I said, it always pays to know what others are doing, what they're planning, what they're thinking, so that you can counteract what they're doing. And I told him, I said, do you remember there was one time that my son had come to me with this cassette. He wanted me to listen to it and asked me what I thought of it. So I put it on, I listened to it, and then he'd asked me the following day, he said, "Did you listen to it, Mom?" I said, "Yeah, I listened to it." And I said, "And if you're going to go down that rabbit hole, you need to be fully aware of how demonic it is." And he just kind of looked at me, he goes, "What do you mean?" So we sat down and we talked about the things that was on this cassette tape and some of the ideas that this person was putting out there. And I said to him, "Do you realize that this person is trying to convert you to his way of thinking? That he wants you to act out and to become a militant and behave in this manner? That he is actually calling for violence? Is that something that you want to be a part of?" And he just kind of looked at me for a few minutes and goes, "Not really." I said, "Then why would you entertain this? Why would you listen to something that is filled with so much hate?" He kind of looked at me and he goes, "I don't know, Mom. It was given to me and I just found some of it interesting." I said, "Right, and that's a rabbit hole. That's when you go down into these things. Sometimes you get sucked in, so you have to be careful. You have to be really aware of what it is, what your values are, what you hold dear in the way that you think life is and what you expect out of life." So, dodged a bullet with that kid on that one, because otherwise he probably would have committed suicide pretty early. It was that dark and that evil. And yeah, I'm going to call it evil because it just was. And this is dealing with 3 teenagers and a young 5-year-old at the time. was not pretty. It was not easy. So, and sometimes we have to do that with parents. We have to be honest with our kids. Tell them what we think. And I know my son used to, and this is the one son, he used to get mad at me because I'd say, you need to keep the conversation up. You need to keep it going, even if you're mad at the person. Find out what's going on in their head. Talk with them. See if you can come to some sort of understanding. Whether it's if you disagree with them or not. Sometimes that's the understanding you come to. That we can agree to disagree. So. And that used to tick him off the most. Not wanting to communicate. You know, and I'd say, let's talk. I don't want to, Mom. I don't want to talk about it. I said, so you're just going to take and hold it inside. Keep it on your inside and just spew until it bubbles over, bubbles out. Some of it's self-destructive. So let's talk. He'd eventually come around. And now he's the one that talks the most when we call and talk to each other. Mom, this is what's going on, blah, 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 blah. What do I do? This is also the kid that used to fight taking naps. And nowadays he's like, I am so sorry that I fought taking naps when I was a kid. Naps are glorious, Mom. I said, finally, you agree. He said, I never realized how busy you were. He said he sat back and thought about the things that I did as a mom. He said there would be times he'd get up at 11:30 at night to go get a drink of water or go to the bathroom, and I was up cleaning or doing something. He said, I never understood why you were up doing that. I said, because it had to be done. Who do you think was going to do it? The brownies, the fairies that come in at night? And some of it I imparted with the kids to help them, train them to do things. But there were certain things that you have to do as a mom, a little deeper cleaning than what normally happens. So he said, and then you'd be up at 5:30 in the morning, ready to go at it. He goes, I don't know how you did it with so little sleep. I said, well, honestly, I think that's a trait that God gave to us women. We were able to get along and get things done with very little sleep. And I think sometimes that's why so many of us women have trouble sleeping at night. You know, it used to tick me off. I'd look over at Thomas and I couldn't sleep. I'd be wanting to tell my mind to shut up because it'd be going on about all these things going on in life and scenarios and things like that. And he'd be over there just snoring away. He used to make me mad. And he'd ask me, you know, the next day, he goes, because when we get up in the morning, I'd tell him, I'm mad at you because you sleep so well. He'd say, why are you mad at me? I said, because I can't sleep like that. I'd like to be able to. He goes, that's the difference between men and women. You know, the whole thing with the computer. We have 1,000 tabs open, and man only has one. Women have compartments, men only think of one thing at a time. So, in many respects, that's kind of true. So I think that's why we as women have such difficulties sleeping all night long. You know? I think all of a sudden we're like, I have something I have to do, I have to take care of. So we wake up, whether we realize it or not. And of course, also moms have always been caretaker of the babies, and for most people, moms are the ones that get up at night with the baby. Either because we are breastfeeding and the baby's hungry or whatever. We hear it long before the man does. My ex-husband never got up with the kids. Not once. He would say, that's your job. He also had very little to do with the raising of the children, so, and that was a choice that he made. He didn't want any part of it. So, sometimes I think some of that was the alcoholism in him. His father was an alcoholic. His mother was a disciplinarian because the father was always off drunk, you know? So, who knows? Well, I think I am going to let you go. It's going to be a short one. I have a couple of things I need to get done. I've got to get some bags cut and get some interfacing ordered because I need some interfacing. And yeah, it's kind of the things that are going on today. All right, I'm going to let you go. Everybody have a great day. And remember, try to make a difference in someone's life today. Try to do something positive. All right, see you again soon. Bye.